Good afternoon. My name is Mary Jiang, and I'm the president of the Oakland Rotary Club. Founded in 1908, we are the third oldest club of 36,000 clubs in over 200 countries around the world. We are a diverse community of 270 business professionals and community leaders who unite to serve our local and international communities through a commitment to service above self. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our 5,401st meeting at the California Ballroom and online. Because COVID is still highly contagious, please continue to wear your mask when you're not eating or drinking to protect yourself and each other. For those attending online, if you are a visiting Rotarian or a guest of a Rotarian, please enter your name on the chat box located at the center on the bottom of the screen so that we can recognize you in a few minutes. If you have comments or want to ask a question of the speaker, please use the chat box. We recommend you view today's meeting using Speaker View, located in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Now for our thought for the day, I welcome Rotarian Rochelle Capellas.
Thank you, President Mary. Can you all hear me okay? I'm hoping somebody can say yes, they can hear me.
We can hear you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My quote today is an inspiration quote about a positive attitude. It's from Roger Lee. And here is a quote. Remember, no one is forcing you to think negatively. The choice is yours to make. So put whatever thought that's bothering you today at rest to allow something positive for your mind to relax and digest. Sometimes it only takes one great thought to create one great day. And that was from Roger Lee. The last quote I want to share is from our fellow Rotarian, Ed the Undertaker, who said, he told me when I was volunteering with him, Rochelle, live each day as if it's your last. Keep the positive attitude. Thank you, President Mary.
Thank you, Rochelle. Yes, thank you, Rochelle, for that inspiring thought. All right, will everyone please join me in reciting the Rotary Vision Statement that's on your screen. Together, we see a world where people unite. Is it on the screen? Okay, then I guess I will recite it. Yeah, together, see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Thank you. Guests are welcome to visit our club. Past District Governor and past President Ed Jelen. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today?
President Mary, I am happy to say that my job is safe for one more week because we have some wonderful visiting Rotarians. Just on a personal trivia note here, first time in 25 years I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt to Rotary. First time in 25 years I'm wearing shorts to Rotary. So this is, anyway, as far as visiting Rotarians go, we are pleased to welcome Brandon Evans from the Rotary Club of Richmond. Welcome, Brandon. We have with us Adrian Abuyan from the Rotary Club of San Leandro. Adrian, where's Adrian back there? And we are very pleased to welcome back to our club a former distinguished member who left us for the Rotary Club of Hilo. Please welcome back Romeo Garcia. And did I miss any visiting Rotarians? Thank you, President Mary. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Will Rotary members who brought a guest today, could you please stand? Okay, a mic to him, okay. Would you like to introduce yourself and your guest?
Yes, President Mary. I'm Merlin Edwards with Edwards Consulting, and I'd like to introduce my guest, Lynette McElhaney, former City Council member.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. Nina Sen. It's been a bit. It's great to see you. I served on the school board in Oakland, and now I serve as commissioner on the status of women in Alameda County. And I'm here as Isaac Koss-Reed's guest. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm also here as Isaac's guest. I'm Sam Davis, also currently on the school board representing District 1 and vice president of the board.
Okay. All right. Okay, today we have some other, oh, there's one over here.
We have some online guests as well.
I'm Dana Sack. I've been here forever, a real estate attorney. My guest is Monica Kujazi, who was introduced to me last night by John Protopappas. She's done 26 residential projects in Cleveland and is looking to do some more here in West Oakland.
Okay, today, before, one more, I'm sorry, I had to see sideways. Mike?
We have a number of guests online who have checked in, and I'm definitely going to mess up some of these names. We have Yak Pasua, and her last name begins with a Z. She's a candidate for Oakland City Council, District 6. We have Alan Love, a visiting Rotarian from Rotary Club of San Ramon, California. Jennifer Bruhard, candidate for School Board Director, District 2. We have a Ken McKinney, and that's it.
Thank you, Peter. All right, today before the start of our Civic Thursday meeting, Rotarians had an opportunity to meet in person Oakland candidates who are running for local offices. As we all know, it's tough to run for office. No matter who wins or lose, if they led by our four-way test, we'll all be better off. And I will explain the four-way test in a few minutes. At this time, I would like to ask Isaac Koss-Reed to recognize the Oakland candidates who are in the audience. Please stand when he announces your name, and everybody hold their applause until the end.
Thank you, President Mary. Okay, the pressure is on. Let's see if I caught everybody. And the order is going to be driven by the city clerk, because I'm reading top to bottom. We have Seneca Scott here for candidates. These are candidates for mayor. We have Seneca Scott, Treva Reed, Sheng Tao, Greg Hodge, Lauren Taylor, Tyron Jordan, and Ignacio de la Fuente. Thank you all for joining us. For City Council District 2, we are happily joined by our long-term Rotarian Harold Lowe, as well as Nikki Fortunato Bass. I know was here earlier. Maybe she had to depart. Oh, there she is in the back. Thank you for joining us. For City Council District 4, we have Janani Ramachandran, a Rotarian, and Nina Joyner. They're in the back, gracefully helping out today. For City Council District 6, I'm going to give it my best shot at the name online, but first I'm going to note that here in the room we have Kevin Jenkins. Kevin Jenkins. Oh, he was here earlier, and we are joined online by Yakpasua Zazaboy. For School Board District 2, I understand online we have Jennifer Brohard. For School Board District 4, we have both Pecolia Manigo and Nick Resnick. Please stand. Oh, Picolia must have had to leave. And finally, out there in District 6, School Board Director, we have, I believe, all three candidates in the room, Valerie Batchelor, Kyra Munguia, and Joel Velasquez. Thank you all for joining us. Now, this was the City of Oakland City Clerk list, and so I want to make a couple other recognitions. One, very excited to announce that we have Lena Tam here, who's a candidate for Alameda County Supervisor, District 3. A race that is very much on the local election, although not part of the City of Oakland specifically. And then also, I did want to recognize one other guest who didn't get recognized earlier, and that's distinguished guest Casey Farmer. And special guest, Casey, would you take a moment to introduce your guest? Nina, if you could bring a mic.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've had the pleasure of being a guest. I've been a speaker here, and it's delightful to be back. I brought my mom, Michelle Himmelberg. Yeah, former journalist and soon-to-be Oakland resident, so maybe she'll be a member. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, if that weren't enough, we do also have at least 2 representatives for measures that are on the ballot, and those are at least as important sometimes as some of these candidate races, and so I want to acknowledge both of them. I believe one introduced himself earlier. That's Sam Davis, who's not only a school board member, but is working hard to renew Measure N. Measure N, which is supports linked learning in our high school pathways. That partial tax will be on the ballot. And then also we have a representative from the zoo measure, Rotarian Nick Hodge, Thehasia. Thank you for joining us. That's everybody, President Mary. Back to you.
What an impressive list of visiting Oaklanders and Bay Area. All right. Today, I have the privilege of inducting our 6th new member of the Oakland Rotary Club. Well, Nima Link and his sponsor, Isaac Cosry, join me at the lectern. Okay. Isaac, will you introduce Nima with 2 interesting facts about him?
Yes, happily. I will say that Nima is a dear friend who is a prolific volunteer. And one fun fact about him that you will be perhaps surprised to hear is that I believe he has single-handedly picked up more trash in Oakland than anybody else in this city, with the possible exception of Noel Gallo. Yeah. And perhaps more fun a fact, he speaks 5 languages and is learning a 6th. He currently speaks English last time I checked, Spanish, Mandarin, the national language of China, the Russian, and Farsi, and he is learning French, so sometimes when I'm on calls with him, he says, I'm walking around Berkeley right now, I just finished class. Nima Link.
Okay, so Nima, welcome to the Oakland Rotary Club. You're joining 270 Rotarians in our club and over 1.4 million Rotarians throughout the world. Here is your red badge, which signifies your status as a new member. You will also receive the 4-way test, which guide the Rotarians in their daily lives as follows. Number 1, is it the truth? Is it on? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendship? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? This is the 4-way test that we hope that everyone try to have them guide their life in work, personal, politics, everything. Okay. You will receive our Rotary Made Easy Handbook, which provide useful information about our club, and a roster with 270 of your newest best friends. Here is your Rotary pin. Please wear it proudly. With this pin, you'll be able to attend meetings in any Rotary club around the world. Finally, you will also receive our centennial book written by our own Rotarian Linda Hamilton, recovering the first 100 years of Rotary history. Here's your goodie bag. All right, so your commitment as a new member is to, number one, attend meetings online or in person, participate in community service activity, and contribute to the Rotary Foundation and Oakland Rotary Endowment. It's my pleasure and privilege to induct you as the newest member of the Oakland Rotary Club. Let's give Nima a warm welcome. I'm sorry. Okay, somebody. Oh, okay. Again, reminder, if you're not eating or drinking, could you put your mask back on? Thank you. All right. Joe Parrott, are you on Zoom? Could you tell us about an upcoming district environmental summit?
Yes, thank you, President Mary. I just want to remind everyone of the Rotary Environmental Summit on Green Transportation and Clean Energy. That is this Saturday, hosted by District 5170 and ESRAG. It is free if you attend by Zoom, and it runs from 9 to 1 o'clock on Saturday. Presentation by Nancy Pelosi is planned. And let me just say this. The United States produces 25% of the world's carbon emissions. 1 month ago, it was the floods in Kentucky. 1 week ago, it was the Pakistan floods that covers 30% of the country, and 30 million people displaced or affected. Now it is the record-breaking heat in the West. The future is now with the environment, and we all need to individually get to carbon neutral on an individual basis. Solar panels on your roof and electric transportation means you won't need to think about gas prices ever again. So please, let's have a great Oakland Rotary turnout and see you on Saturday.
Thank you, Joe. Jesse Smith, would you give us an update about the business development mixer at Alita Scola House last week?
Thank you, President Mary, and good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. So a bunch of you were there, so you already know we had a great event last week. I can't see the screen, so I don't know if we have slides, but hopefully we have some slides going. And I just want to deliver some thank yous to everybody who participated in the event. Number one is Alita Scola. Thank you so much for offering up your home. It was beautiful. We had a great time there. We can go back. I also want to say thank you to some people who we partnered with. Sandeep Rajbandari from Local Foods provided the charcuterie, Stu Epstein and Brooklyn West, who provided the wine and poured wine all night for us. Our own Rotarian band, Jason Weiselman and Linda Hamilton, played music all night with their band Side Pocket. And I'm going to rattle off a bunch of names: Ruth Straub, Karen Friedman, Nancy Williams, Dave Kirsten, Keith Uriarty, Dudley Thompson, who is our outgoing president. He came early and helped out a ton. Thank you so much, Dudley. Mary Redzer, Lorna Padilla, Marcus, Jim and Linda Bosnecker, Alex Paulson, Riza Hernandez, our president, Mary Jiang, and last but not least, I saw her sneak in, and I know she doesn't normally come to our in-person meetings, but Carla Betts. I reached out to her. Thank you so much, Carla. You make a small ask of her, and she delivers, so thank you so much for your help, Carla. I really appreciate it. See you all at the next mixer. Alita.
I'd like to ring the bell for the Entertainment Committee and for Jesse and for everybody that was there for throwing a great party at my house where I had to do absolutely zero nothing.
Okay, just in case you wonder what the bell ringing means, a bell ring is a generous donation, tax deductible, of $100 to our Oakland Rotary Endowment. Okay, at this point, I'd like to ask Joe Garaka, could you give us an update about your part Rotary and part personal trip to Uganda?
Thank you, President Mary. I'd be happy to. But first, I'd like to ring the bell 3 times. First, I want to ring the bell to celebrate my trip to Africa. Second, I want to acknowledge what a great club Oakland number 3 is. You can ring it later, or you can ring it now. What a great club Oakland number 3 is. A's game, thank you, Tom. Business Development Mixer, thank you, Jesse and Alita, all in the 10 days that I've been back from Africa. Third, to recognize the tremendous generosity of Oakland Rotarians to the Rotary Foundation and to the Oakland Rotary Endowment. So you're going to see some slides. It's audience participation. A couple of the slides got twisted in transition, so you're going to have to work with me to see them. In Africa, we did sightseeing, safaris in Kenya, saw the Big Five and wildebeest migration. Gorilla treks in Uganda, went to the source of the Nile. Viewed Victoria Falls, twice as wide and twice as deep as Niagara Falls. Only thing that could have made it more perfect is if Dr. Joe Parrott was along with his expertise and insight. My best to those Oakland Rotarians heading to Africa, that's you, Carla, in a week or so. We stayed with Rotary friend Peter and family, who we met many years ago at the RI convention. We visited Rotary projects, including an Oakland number 3 project from 2005. We partnered with the Ginger Rotary Club, visited 2 of the protected springs completed with our TRF funds back in 2005. All are still providing clean water thanks to your support to the Rotary Foundation. 12 villages of 100 to 200 villagers each have had clean water every day for 17 years and still do today. We visited the school that Peter oversees, and his school helps provide schooling for disadvantaged students. Kenya and Uganda are very rural in many areas. Dirty roads, dirt roads, brick mud huts with dirt floors that are swept, a plot of land with vegetables to eat, maybe a goat or a cow. They are happy. This is the life they know. We visited 3 students at their homes in a remote village. Very moving stories. We visited the new Rotary Peace Center in Kampala, where graduate students learn conflict resolution skills and address a current conflict, like providing safe election outcomes. There are 7 peace centers in different parts of the world. Over 1,500 fellows have graduated since the start of the program in 1999. We visit a Rotary Eye Clinic in Zimba. Doctors from all over routinely donate time for eye surgeries. District 5160 and my wife's Antioch Club just finished a solar project there. Peter mentioned his school may look into a solar project. I'm going to give you a quick comment on a couple of our guides. One was with the Maasai tribe, one with the Tonga tribe. Both have fathers with multiple wives, 7 wives. All wives have many, many children. Both hope to be married next year and are saving for the required dowry of 7 to 8 cows. So while we were there, Jennifer Jones was also in Africa around the same time. She was in Lusaka meeting the new president, discussing the Rotary Malaria Project, and in Kampala, visiting the Peace Center and promoting a new Rotary Cancer Center, plus starting a fundraising cancer run. So President Mary, I brought you a jersey from that run. Might be more of a dress for you than a jersey. And I brought you a banner from the Ginger Rotary Club, which shows the source of the Nile, their famous bridge, the crested crown, which is their bird. So here you go. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joe. So this is my first flag from another club. So there's a tradition when you go visit another state another city and you visit a Rotary Club, you can do what's called flag exchange or banner exchange. And then, or you go visit Paris, go visit the Paris Rotary Club. Remember that pin that Nima just got? That gets you interest into any club. And you get a banner from Oakland to exchange for a banner of the other club, and you bring it back to the president, and the president gets to collect it for the whole year. So I got my first one for this year. Thank you. So I hope you guys do all that. So Isaac, next time you travel, get me a flag. Okay. Yes. Oh, before we do this, I'd like to remember Peter rang the bell, Joe rang the bell 3 times.
And
Seth?
And I'd like to ring the bell for Joe as well.
Okay.
That typifies everything that we do at Oakland Rotary for the international community. And it was a great trip. And I was on a similar trip a few years ago. And I'd just like to thank Joe for doing all that he does for Oakland Rotary.
Okay, set 1 bell. All right. Okay, so at this time, another one, thank you.
Yeah, one more. I want to ring the bell for Joe. Joe's a giving guy, one of the most giving guys I know. Good, great job, Joe.
Okay, Sedgwick, 1 bell. Any others? Okay. So now I'd like to welcome Isaac Cosreed, who will introduce today's speaker on Zoom.
Thank you, President Mary. It's wonderful to be here again, and I'm excited to introduce our speaker. Hopefully, all of you are familiar with the Oaklandside, which has fast become one of the best sources of local news about what's going on in Oakland, based off of the city-side model that was first developed in Berkeley. We have today with us the news editor for the Oaklandside. We previously had the editor-in-chief come and speak about the history of the Oaklandside and local journalism, and we're very excited to welcome Darwin Bondgraham, the news editor today. Darwin, are you there?
I am. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you great. Thank you. Why don't you just start a bit by talking about the Oaklandside and specifically what you all have been doing and working on this year around the elections?
Yeah, so we're a small but mighty newsroom. We have 9 staff currently, and our goal is to bring the kind of journalism to Oakland that it deserves. And we're not saying that that kind of journalism wasn't being done in Oakland before, but we thought the city deserved more of this kind of high quality journalism that serves the community, that is tough at times when it needs to be, but that also puts the spotlight on the many positive things that are happening in Oakland. Regarding the elections, we're hoping to be a one-stop shop for the information that a lot of voters are going to need to understand what's on the ballot locally. We obviously can't focus on the state and national stuff. There's other organizations with far more resources with us and better sourcing, but locally we can do a pretty good job. So, we're trying to cover each of the city council, the district's 2, 4, 6 races, the mayor's race, the school board race, the ballot measures, and we're going to focus on some of the county elections also, because some of those positions are important for Oakland residents.
Thank you so much, Darwin. So you've been delving into this. You probably know more than just about anybody on planet Earth right now about what's on the ballot this election. What do you see as the biggest issues, the biggest races, the biggest items, the biggest policy issues that are at stake in this election?
Yeah, I'll take issue with what you just said. I probably don't know more than a lot of people in the room there right now. I know that Oakland Rotary is filled with a ton of really informed members. So if I say anything that's incomplete or maybe inaccurate, maybe people can correct me, but I'll give my opinions about a few things here. So I think, obviously the mayor's race, super big deal this year, right? Yeah, it can't get bigger than that. Oakland has a strong mayor. In effect, this person runs the city by managing the city administrator. I think as Libby Schaff has shown throughout her tenure, the mayor also has a huge platform, like nationally even, to make statements about Oakland values and to push back against things that are going on nationally that seem disturbing. The mayor also, delves into some of the like micromanagement of the city of Oakland. The mayor and the city administrator together draft the initial budget recommendations that go to council. Again, Schaff showed that the mayor has a platform to raise philanthropic money. So, there's 10 people running. I think there's 10 people running for mayor this year. It's a wide open race. Obviously, the incumbent is on the way out. So that's one huge race to look out for. School board. I'm going to say school board because OUSD has been through a lot of turmoil lately, and there's a lot of division over what to do with the district. There's a split of opinion between people who recognize that the district's financial difficulties may require closing some schools, right-sizing the school district. It does have more schools than a higher schools to students ratio than comparable school districts. People on the opposite side of that debate believe that schools need to be kept open. They say it's disrespectful to certain communities to close those schools. They feel that if the schools are closed, it will result in a spiral in which more schools will be closed in Oakland. So the school board races are of huge importance this year because some of the candidates are on opposite sides of that debate, and it could go in very different directions depending on the outcome. Last thing I'll say, Measure H, you mentioned it, the Measure N renewal. I know parcel taxes are not the favorite thing. A lot of people don't like the burden of having to pay parcel taxes. They're not progressive in nature. They, hit everybody pretty equally regardless of ability to pay, although there are certain carve-outs. But if there was ever a parcel tax that proved its value, Measure N, my education reporter, Ashley McBride, who I hope all of you are reading her work around OUSD, her reporting on that particular measure and the $12 million it raises annually for Oakland schools to run these career to college pipelines, this crucial educational work for students, that money has been invaluable to the district. That program has proven itself in a big way. So I would say those are 3 things to watch out for.
Sounds like we have some Measure H supporters in the room. Well, you may have somewhat answered this, but I was curious, is there anything that you think is being overlooked or down ballot races that you also think people should be paying attention to because of the potential impact they can have on our community?
Yeah, great question. All of the ballot measures, there's a potential they could all be overlooked because I think there's 10 ballot measures locally, right? And that's on top of like, is it 7, 8, 9 ballot measures statewide now? And they're all very confusing. The local ballot measures are really complicated. People need to delve into the details on these and pay attention because the ballot measures are going to rewrite the city charter in ways that will profoundly alter the balance of power, the way that we run our elections. They're going to change, they could change the nature of tenure for elected officials. They could change laws around housing and tenant protections and landlords' rights around their property. They'll raise huge sums of money. If they're passed, they could transform the city's revenue streams, raise hundreds of millions of dollars for infrastructure. So it's almost like regardless of who wins the mayor's race or city council, if some of these ballot measures pass and some don't, they will or they won't have the tools that they need to keep moving forward with Oakland government. So all of the ballot measures, people really need to pay close attention to.
Thank you for that. And I couldn't agree more, I guess I got to say personally. And I do want to note that we have the list of ballot measures both on the table and in the back. And I'm going to promise that we will send out a follow-up email, or that in Live Oak, our weekly newsletter to all of our internal folks, we'll include the links, and then include the links to the actual full text of the measures. There's a lot at stake. And I failed to note earlier that we do have representatives of 2 other measures in the room. Treva Reed, in addition to running for mayor, is also the co-author on the non-citizen voting measure initiative. And she's available to answer any questions, as well as Council President Bass is the co-author on the progressive business tax measure that will also be on the ballot. Okay, getting back to Darwin and your perspective. Okay, I can't help it. We got to delve just a little bit more into the mayor's race. Like, what do you see as the top 3 dynamics in that race that could potentially shape the outcome?
Yeah, that's a tough question at this point. I feel like a lot of the candidates are still
No pressure, because there's only 5 or so candidates in the room.
Yeah, totally. I do feel like the candidates are, they still have quite a bit of work ahead to distinguish themselves. And I say that not to fault them, but rather to fault the process that we collectively so far have created to hear from the candidates. What I'm talking about is there have been a number of mayoral forums so far sponsored by different groups. Different groups obviously can invite particular sets of candidates based on who they feel the candidates who might, like the Democratic Party, for example, is only going to invite members of the Democratic Party who are candidates to take part in their forum. Or, Visit Oakland invited 3 of the city council members because they feel like they're the 3 front runners in their opinion. Some other groups have invited different sets of candidates. We've seen all the candidates more or less on stage at one forum so far. The problem with all these forums has been that the amount of time that the candidates are given to answer questions is very short. And so the candidates have been able to say very little of substance, very little detail about what they're actually talking about, what they actually want to do, and how they're actually quite different from their opponents. And so far, one of the dynamics I'm seeing in the mayor's race is that people haven't yet really distinguished themselves. And so if you're not a longtime political observer in Oakland, and I know a lot of people in this room are, and so a lot of people in this room will know what some of the differences between the candidates are, but the average voter right now, if they've tuned into any of these forums or any of the coverage resulting from them, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to actually understand how the candidates are different from each other. That's one big dynamic in the mayor's race. Another one is that there does appear to be 3 candidates who are leading the way in terms of having raised money. And so they have right now a pretty big advantage in terms of financial support in order to get their message out. But we are seeing a number of the other candidates playing a pretty good ground game with social media and just getting out in the community and talking a lot. It's going to be really interesting in the end to see whether or not, the traditional outcome of who can raise the most money and buy the most advertising and get their name before voters, and does the pre-existing name recognition of being an elected official, is that going to matter more than some of the grassrootsy campaigning that some of the other candidates are trying to do? We have seen races before in Oakland where, incumbents have been upset, even though there is an incumbent advantage. So those are a couple dynamics to the mayor's race that I would point out right now.
Thanks for that. You mentioned that there's other publications studying state and national issues, and at the same time, to understand Oakland issues and the dynamics in Oakland elections, it's not like we operate in a vacuum, right? There are state and national and even international issues that I think impact local elections. Curious your thoughts as you have been delving into local issues. What are some of those regional, state, kind of zooming out from Oakland for a second, what do you see as some of the issues that are potentially going to impact and influence our own elections?
Yeah, very good question. I think that this election, we're seeing it to some extent, the ongoing national debate around public safety is playing out to some extent locally. What I'm referring to is, in 2 years ago, there were a series of huge protests. There was civil unrest in parts of Oakland, and it was around displeasure with the role of police in society and the tactics that police have used in society. There were people voicing frustration with the slow pace of change in our society around creating more equal systems, reforming the criminal justice system. That's a national debate that's still ongoing. And, I think we saw in June how a lot of national media kind of looked at San Francisco and the recall of the DA there. People wanted to make a lot of pronouncements about, like, you know, whether that was a bellwether or whether that had, you know, meaning for what's coming up in November. I'm not sure it did, but I do think that public safety is an ongoing debate that's going to be, that it is being had, especially with the city council races and the mayor's race. And the split is basically between some candidates who feel that maybe the pendulum has swung a little bit too far away from relying on policing for public safety, and candidates who feel that, no, the time is still right to implement further reforms in terms of policing and to implement new strategies that don't rely on policing to lift up communities and keep them safe. I think that's a national political debate that is still happening, and it is playing out in Oakland right now.
Fair enough. I would say, you know, similarly, I think there are local issues, perhaps, that can have a disproportionate influence, and sometimes in surprising ways. I know you all have, at the Oaklandside, delved quite a bit into Lake Merritt, for example, and Lake Merritt is, of course, a dynamic, wonderful thing that actually Rotarians have multiple ties to through, you know, institutions around the lake, initiatives around the lake. It's been, I think, troubling for everybody to see what's happened because of the algal bloom and the dead fish. You all have studied it pretty closely. Do you see issues like other local issues, maybe even the lake potentially, impacting some of our local elections?
Yeah, you know, actually, when we when our team was reporting on the fish die-off that happened in the lake and the bay more broadly, a bunch of the people we spoke to, it was kind of their hope that it would serve as a wake-up call for a lot of Oakland residents that, like, you know, the climate crisis is here locally now. I do think a lot of Oaklanders know that. You know, this is a very environmentally conscious city, and of course, lots of people in the city are, you know, really afraid of and should be of, like, the wildfire danger. So those environmental concerns, yeah, I think that will drive the interest of a lot of people. To the extent to which any candidates right now are sort of running on an environmental platform, I don't see it I've not seen it yet too much. Maybe I'm not paying close enough attention to anyone's campaign. If any of the candidates in the room have a, you know, especially a platform that especially calls out, like, environmental progress, you know, please let me know. The ballot measures generally aren't focused on any environmental concerns. I don't know, maybe they could peel off a little bit of the $850 million in bond revenue that could be passed with one of the ballot measures. Maybe they could peel that off to, you know, do further improvements around the lake, or maybe some fire safety stuff in the hills. But yeah, I do, you know, generally Oakland voters do seem intent on environmental issues, but the extent to which local electeds are, like, running on that right now is not clear.
Thank you for that. And I want to make sure that everyone's thinking of questions. Rotarians, if you have questions that you'd like to ask any of our speaker today, we welcome those. We'll be taking them online as well as here in the room. And you can wave down one of the folks with the microphones. Any questions at the moment coming up for anybody? Casey, yes, we have a question in the back.
Okay, I'd like you to guess what you think the turnout will be. Knowing that we've had really low turnout in the June election, maybe certain things on the ballot like reproductive justice, Prop 1, will drive Californians to vote. But Darwin, I would like you to make your guess of what you think turnout will be in Oakland.
Yeah, you would hope that things like the threat to people's reproductive rights would drive higher voter turnout. And I don't know to what extent, you know, to what extent is the average voter in Oakland going to take that into consideration, though? You're right. There's sort of at the state level, there's an ability to make a statement around that. But California, to what extent Californians feel like their rights are about to be stripped away from them. I mean, maybe Californians do because of the way that Congress, you know, could flip. I kind of think that I'm not sure turnout's going to be especially big. Yeah, and I don't know why I say that. I don't get the sense that a lot of Oaklanders are going to turn out to vote. I hope they do. I think the ballot is so crowded this year that even if we saw a huge turnout, a lot of people, they might look at 10 ballot measures and not having studied up on them, they may not know how to vote on them. So even if there is huge turnout, it's, yeah, you know, is it, will people vote on each and every ballot measure? How might that turn out? I don't know.
Thank you for that, Darwin. And I wanted to mention, we went ahead and set up a mic stand here internally in the room. And so if you do have any question, we're going to ask you to walk over to the mic and ask it there. On that note, we got some questions online that I wanted to note. This is maybe less of a question and more of an offer of help and requests actually to candidates from Bonnie Hamlin. Invitations went out this morning to all the Oakland candidates to post on votersedge.org information about their candidacies and respond to questions about issues critical to Oakland. Check it out, candidates and representatives. You can see the rest of her note, I believe, posted in Zoom. We'll make sure you get it. I guess there's a website there that they're hoping you can complete information on, take advantage of it. There's not a lot of information there up now, so votersedge.org is the place you need to go. From Stephanie Kazenza, can the speaker please discuss his thoughts on this measure, Article 34, Affordable Housing Authorization?
Sure, yeah. Article 34 was a really vile amendment to the California state constitution that was intended to prevent poor people and especially target Black people and prevent them from achieving housing justice and moving into communities that they deserve to live in. It was intended in many ways to maintain segregation. It's been used that way. What's on the ballot for Oakland, it's largely symbolic what it would do. It would authorize the city to produce a large number of, I think it refers to it as social housing units, but basically like subsidized affordable housing, public housing. I think it's an authorization that would go above and beyond what the city of Oakland is currently authorized to produce. It would not provide any funding for that. So the city would still have to go out and like find affordable housing developers or create partnerships to like build that housing. But as a symbolic statement, it is important. And it's amazing that that portion of the Constitution remains in place.
That might win the award for one of the most obscure things on the ballot, but nevertheless important. In the room, we have a question from Rotarian Anna Marie, please.
Hi, thank you very much for being here. I want to jump on what you said earlier about candidates not being given necessarily the best amount of time to give nuanced answers. Can you tell us what you think Oaklandside can do and what any other outlet could do to help mitigate that? I look at the public safety issue, and giving each candidate a couple of sound bites is not going to cut it. We've got genuine violent crime. We've got all sorts of traffic-related safety crimes. We're actually having a real problem with noise pollution, where people can't even stay in their homes because of the level of sound that is driving them crazy. So we've got really big issues, and the forum like this is lovely, but it's not going to cut it when it comes to getting the level of feedback we need from these candidates so that we can make a good choice. So can you tell us what Oaklandside could do and any suggestions for what any other platform could do?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I didn't mean to like diss any groups that have put on forums previously. I just think it's the nature of that format where you invite all the candidates and then you try to ask a bunch of questions that it creates a great level of breadth, but like very little depth. And I think we need the breadth in terms of the forums, but we also need to go deep. And so, yeah, like the Oaklandside plans on interviewing all the candidates and asking questions around things like public safety, housing, homelessness. Internally, we have editorial discussions about how to get candidates to be very specific. We don't want to get just like glossy stump speech kind of answers. We actually want the candidates to talk in detail about what they plan to do. So we do plan on interviewing all the candidates, and I hope other publications are going to be doing the same, like covering some of the local races in a lot of depth and just going way beyond what the candidates have like on their websites currently. The other thing is to look into people's records. I believe it was at one of the last mayoral forums, one of the candidates said, it's about looking at people's records. I couldn't agree more. Several of the candidates have long, city council records. Some have been on school board and other boards before. So yeah, looking into people's records and their statements.
Thank you. One final rapid question before we wrap is a mayoral double whammy. We had to close with this. From Sam Miller and Greg Annis online, we have, how will the Howard Terminal Oakland A's debate affect the mayor's race, and how will ranked choice voting affect the mayor's race?
Oh my. Howard Terminal.
In 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, Howard Terminal. I'm sorry, I'm gonna disappoint. I'm gonna skip. But ranked choice voting, I will try to answer that quickly. I think it's gonna be pretty complicated because we don't just have ranked choice voting in this city. We now also have almost universal mail-in ballot voting. And when we're handing over those ballots into the drop boxes or we're mailing them back, it means that we don't know the results on the night of the election or the day after the election. Even tight races, it might take several days to count all of the votes. We saw that in the June primary, and that was without ranked choice voting. And we have ranked choice voting on top of that now. And so there's going to be instant runoff after all the ballots are counted. So I think it could take a little while to know the results in some of the elections.
Thank you so much, Darwin. Really appreciate having you here. Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay, Darwin, thank you very much for that fascinating and awesome interview. Education is my area of focus for this year. The Rotary Club of Oakland is proud to partner with Oakland Promise to offer 8 $10,000 scholarships a year, along with Rotarian doing mentorships. We are proud to support as many first in the family to attend college. In recognition of your presentation today, Oakland Rotary Club will make a donation in your name to Oakland's Promise to support its kindergarten to college program for every child in our city. Thank you very much. On your table, you see the little bell ringer beacon. So use this flyer. Does any Rotarian have any celebration or special event they want to share? Raise that beacon and I will recognize you. Ruth.
Two times today. One, in gracious appreciation of Isaac Cost-Reed helping us put together this amazing program today. And the other in appreciation of Nancy Wilson and her publication, The Money Pages, where she is advertising our Community Shred Day on October 15th.
Two bell ringing from Ruth. Rick Baskin. Somebody give him a mic or go to the mic.
How many of you love the blues? All right. Well, I feel very grateful. I've been asked to play at Yoshi's. So Rick Baskin and Laying Down the Law will be playing on a Monday night, November 21st at Yoshi's. There'll be 2 other harmonica players. It's kind of a battle of harmonica players. And I hope you all can come. I need your support. If you can't wait till then, on Saturday, September 17th, the band will be playing in Hayward at the Bistro on a Saturday night. So I hope you can make one of those events, especially Yoshi's. And I want to ring the bell. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, Isaac.
I'll say
bells from Isaac. 3. Okay. Any other bell ringers? Any online? Okay, thank you. I have an announcement. Will you check your wallet or purse? Someone has dropped their parking ticket with Douglas Parking. It was on the floor, so it might have fell out if you don't find yours. Well, you need this to go out. So it's here, so keep checking, and it's on here. All right. Well, will someone get Nancy Williams? Oh, there you are. Good. We'll talk about next week's speaker.
Thank you, President Mary. So next week, really excited. Again, thanks to Ruth, I have the pleasure of interviewing Kate Schatz, who is an incredible author, and she's known for her series of profiles of women in history. Her latest book is called Do the Work, an Anti-Racist Workbook. So if you don't know about it, definitely pick up a copy. It's co-authored with W. Kamau Bell. And if you've never heard Kate speak, you're in for a treat. While the topic is challenging, her delivery is memorable. We encourage everyone to order the copy of the book today so you have it in time. You can get it from Marcus Books. So you can have it in time next week to A, read it, but also get it autographed, which Kate will be doing. We will also have a few copies here that you can purchase, but we're really excited, so join us next week online or in person. Thanks.
Okay. Well, Nima and Isaac. I'm sorry.
Mary, I just want to remind everybody that next week we will be switching to a webinar format for our online Zoom sessions, and there will be a different meeting ID, so look out for that.
Thank you for that announcement. So yeah, if you've been saving the old link that Jesse gave you to go online, you can put that aside. We're going to give you a brand new one to save so you can get online. All right, will Nima and Isaac please proceed to the back of the ballroom so that Rotarian can greet you on their way out. So at this point, thank you, Rochelle Online, for the thought for the day, Nima for joining as a new member, Joe Parrott for the Environmental Summit announcement, Jesse Smith for the Mixer update, Joe Garaka for the lovely Uganda trip update, my flag and my t-shirt that fits me as a dress, and Isaac Cosry for introducing this week's speaker and organizing this event, Darwin Bondgraham for the awesome and enlightening presentation, Nancy Williams for the teaser for next week's speaker, and the production team for managing this meeting. I look forward to seeing everyone at next week's meeting in person or online. So, share, which means thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.
Yes. Good job. Good meeting. Very good meeting. But we have a serious problem with operating the class. Sometimes it just turns out like I'm a mess. But I think we have to. I look at how about I enforce it? I want to bring it back to the so we've got to just keep asking. We've got to stand